Shalom a good moed. Welcome back to my sukkah. The neighbors are also in their sukkahs. I apologize if there's background noise. I always like to show you my sukkah. So there's my schach. We're going to talk about the schach tonight, the height of the sukkah. And it's not going to be pshat, it's going to be drash and sod. I found a sefer, the commentary on Sefer Yetzira by David Havilio, a kabbalist of 400 years ago in Sfat and Yerushalayim and Izmir. He was in Turkey, and he inspired me. So I'm actually going to say some original ideas that I was inspired by Reb David Havilio, Zecher Tzaddik V'Kadosh Livracha. So it's called the height of the sukkah. How far can the eye see? Because we know one of the reasons limiting the height of the sukkah is how high up can we see. So I want to remind everybody, I actually watched my recording from last year's sukkah about the word sukkah. It's a beautiful word, which it means a shelter, a booth, a hut. It means also to see, but it's comprised of four letters, and they're really two pairs of Samech Hey and Chavav. And Chavav is famous gematria of 26 for Yud Kei Vav Kei. Everybody knows Yud Kei Vav Kei is the Shema Etzem, the four-letter name for God. And the other pair of letters, the Samech Hey, is 65, which is the way we say the Shem Hashem, because we don't say we don't say the Shem the way it was said in the Beis Hamikdash by the Kohen Gadol and Yom Kippur. We say Adnus, which is the gematria of 65. So we have Hashem as he really is, unknowable to us, and we have Hashem as Adonai Kol, the master of the world, and our interaction with him. And those are captured in the word sukkah, because the sukkah is such a unique mitzvah, it allows us to dwell in the divine presence. We create a holy space of the sukkah where we dwell in joy, and a person who's mitztayer, if he's suffering, he's exempt from the sukkah. You can't suffer in the presence of God. You have to rejoice, like the olam haba, the tzaddikim will be yoshvin atroiseim, v'roisheim v'nenim miziva shchina. They'll be enjoying the divine bliss. So the sukkah is a taste of that, of the enjoyment of the bliss of being in the presence of the divine. So if we begin with that premise, that the sukkah is an intimate connection to God and dwelling with him in his presence. So I want to talk particularly today about the height of the sukkah, and it's in a Mishnah. The very first Mishnah of Masechta Sukkah is about the height of the sukkah. And I tried to create a picture here on using artificial intelligence to make a very tall sukkah. So you could decide if I succeeded. So the Mishnah says, Sukkah shehi gavoya lamalami esrim ama psula. A sukkah which is higher than 20 amos is invalid. And the Gemara gives three reasons for this. Rabbah, Reb Zera, and Rava. Rabbah says, L'man yedu doiroseichem, you need to know you're in a sukkah. And above 20 amos, if the roof is so high over your head, lo shalta ba'ena, your eye doesn't capture a roof that's so high over your head, so you're living in ignorance of what's above you. So that doesn't do it. Reb Zera said that if it's above 20 amos, so the sun will be coming in from the sides. It's so high you won't be living in the shade of the schach. If you're in the shade at all, you'll be in the shade of the walls. So you're missing the point, because a sukkah is al shem haschach. The sukkah is not about the walls. You see my walls are Jerusalem stone. Everything's kosher for the walls. What's important about the sukkah is its schach, its roof, which has to be from a natural material and detached from the ground, something that's einu mekabel tuma, something which sort of lets the light through, where we love to see the stars through the schach, to be able to look up and see that which is above us, and that's what we're going to talk about. The third reason the Gemara gives that a sukkah lamalami esrim ama psula is from Rava, and he says, the Torah says, b'sukkos teishu shivas yamim. It's a 7-day holiday. You got to dwell in your sukkah essentially for 7 days. You sleep there, you eat there, you use your house just as utility room, and your living room and your bedroom and your dining room is all in the sukkah. So for 7 days, it's a temporary dwelling. Up to 20 amas, you can construct a structure which will stand for 7 days. But if you're making something higher than 20 amos, you really have to give it more sturdy foundation and more solid construction. And the Torah said, make it a 7-day dwelling. The implication being diras arai. You want it to be a temporary dwelling. Otherwise, just stay in your own house. So the point of the sukkah is to be in a temporary dwelling. So those are 3 reasons why there's a limitation on the height of the sukkah up to 20 amos. And that's essentially pshat of the Gemara. But here we go. We're now launching. We're now basing ourselves on the kabbalist David Havilio, some original ideas, what I call davar agadol, right? The Gemara differentiates between davar akatan, the havayas of Abai v'Rava, and the davar agadol, the pardes, Maisa Bereshis, Maisa Merkava. So Reb David Havilio has a perush on the Sefer Yetzira and the Sefer Abahir, and it's very beautiful and inspiring, and that's where I got the following ideas. So he talks about Chaf, 20, when we say Lamala mi Chaf, Lamala mi Esrim, it's the Hebrew letter Chaf, has the gematria of 20, and there's a fascinating pasuk, it's in the end of Parshas Naso, about the princes, the Nesiim that brought their korbanos, and the Gemara tallies them up in the end, and it says, Kapoy Zahav Shtei Mesrei, they brought 12 golden spoons full of ktoiris. And then the pasuk says, Asara, Asara Hakaf. Each kaf was 10. That's a Hebrew expression of Asara, Asara Hakaf. But there's a sod in those words where Hakaf is the chaf. That's the letter 20. And the pasuk says, Asara, Asara Hakaf. So 10 and 10 make 20, which, okay, is an arithmetic truth, but there's something much, much deeper to it. So let's take a look at that. I've written the letter Yud, and the Yud, of course, is the beginning of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the beginning of God's great and holy name. And yet the Yud, which is, the letter, the 10th letter of the Aleph face, so we think of it as the gematria of 10. So Yud equals 10. But look more carefully, and you see that Yud is spelled Yud Vav Daled. So Yud Vav Daled equals 20. And it's important that the first letter Yud is itself 10, and then the hidden part, the Vav Daled, is also 10. So now we're getting a little bit into the essence of Asara, Asara Hakaf. The Yud has 10 and 10 in it, and that 10 and 10 make 20. Now, the letter Chaf is a reference to Keser. Of the 10 spherois, the highest one is called Keser Elyon, the holy supernal crown. And these 10, these Asara, Asara Hakaf, it means a number of things. There's a number of remazim in it. One is to be Eser Mamaros Nivra Ha'olam. The world was created with 10 divine utterances. God said, Vayomer Vayehi. He said things, Vayomer Yehi Or, Vayhi Or. He said, let there be light, and there was light. And that's 10. But then later there's Asaras Hadibrois, there's 10 commandments. So the first 10, God is by himself. The second 10, he's interacting with man and giving us commands and directions, instruction, how to reach out to him, how to play our role in Maisa Bereshis, in the history of the world. So the 10 and the 10 of the divinity, and then the divinity interacting with his creations, that's 20. Another way is what's called Or Yashar ve'Or Choizer. 10 spheroids of light coming down from above, and 10 coming from bottom going up, from Malchus at the bottom up to Keser Elyon. So that's also 10 and 10 equal 20. So we have a beautiful idea here of the Yud, which is a tiny letter of Kedusha, the beginning of the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, and within it, it has 10, but it also on a deeper level has 20. And so now I want to share with you the first Mishnah, a Mishnah in the first parak of Sefer Yetzira, it's Mishnah Daled. Eser Sfirois Blima. Eser velo Teisha, Eser velo Achatisrei. Haven b'chochma, v'chakem b'vina, b'chon behem, v'chakor mehem, v'emed davar al buryo, v'hashev yotzer al mechono. So the Sefer Yetzira, with its beautiful language, says there are 10 spherois Blima, of nothingness, of divinity. 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11. So very emphatic that they're exactly 10 and not less. And there's a beautiful Perush, a commentary from Aryeh Kaplan Zatzal, and he explains what would it mean if there were 9, or what would it mean if there were 11. And so the highest of the spheros, the Keser, you might think that's one and the same as Ein Sof Baruch Hu, as God's unknowable essence, the or Ein Sof, or even that which is above it, Atzmuso Yisbarach. And it's saying, no, there are 10 spheros. There's not just 9 and Keser is from above. There are 10 unique spheros, and they're part of a set, and there are things above them that are not them. And so I'll share with you, let's say, the idea of what's called Olamot Abiyah, the world of Atzilut, a world of divinity, then the world of Bria. Bereshit bara, God created the world of Yetzira, he then fashioned, he formed the world, and the world that we live in, a physical world of the Olam Ha'asiyah. We live in a world of deed, of action, of stuff, of doing. So there's all, and each one of those has 10 spheros in it. And so Keser is the highest of what we can know in our world, but there are things way above that, even above the Olam Atzilus. There's something called Ak, which stands for Adam Kadmon, which is like Tzuras HaAdam in the world of divinity. And above that there's Or Ein Sof, there's Kav V'Tzimtzum, and things that we have no idea of Atzmuso Yisbarach, God who's totally unknowable. So the idea that I'm sharing tonight is that the height of the Sukkah, and remember, Sukkah means seeing. You need to see the Schach, and you're supposed to be able to see past the Schach, through the Schach, to the stars above. So there's things you can see very well in the Schach, it can't be too high, and then there's a preference that you can see beyond the Schach. And the height of it that is set by the Mishnah is 20, and that's our Yud, that's our Kaf, that's our Keser Elyon. So the 10 spherois, which the top one of is Keser, which is 20, that's the height of the Sukkah. Above that, you'd be totally in the realm of the divinity. You'd be in a place de lo shalta be'ena, that your eye can't see. And you need to see and know. L'man yedu doiroisechem. You have to know that you're in a Sukkah. So we're in a world that we can perceive and appreciate the 10 spheros from Keser on downward. Things above that, we can see them a little bit, envision them through the cracks of the schach, but they're not fully comprehensible to the human mind while we're within our body. So that's lo shalta be'ena. And I thought also about the diras kva and the diras arai. We're down here in an impermanent world. We're in a world that is changing. The world of the spherois is very interactive with human beings. The Nefesh HaChaim, builds a beautiful case of emphasizing the great responsibility that every Jew has in their machshava dibur amaisa. Everything we think, everything we say, and everything we do has great impact on the worlds above, on all of the spheros, and really going up higher and higher. But what I wanted to propose for this drasha is that up to Kaf, up to 20, up to the Keser Elyon, there's direct impact of our deeds on this diras arai. But above that, above Olam Atzilus, in Adam Kadmon or Ein Sof Yisbarach, they're diras kva. Those things are more fixed. And so the Sukkah places a limitation that it's a world that we have great impact. It's a world of hadadiyut, of reciprocity, of where we are seeing God's imminent presence within our world and interacting with it and impacting it. And above that, there's a sense of diras kva, of things are as they are, and they're not directly impacted by our deeds. I thought also the same idea in Reb Zera, that if the Sukkah is 20 amos within this realm of the 10 spheros culminating in Keser, so then we're in the shade of the Keser. If it would be higher than that, if the Sukkah would be higher and be in the world above that, in the world of Ak or Ein Sof or of Kav V'Tzimtzum, there wouldn't be the same direct connection. I mean, why did God need Kavayachal? He did not need, but he chose and he willed, and the divine will was to create a very complex system to go from his world Or Ein Sof, of infinity, and yet make himself known to a creation, a finite universe, and to people who are clothed in a body and who our minds are so limited. So in order to do that, he has all this hishtalshalus coming down through these innumerable worlds. And so the sukkah is in a very specific place, of a place that we can see, a place that we can directly interact, a place of arayut, of a place that things are all the time in flux and changing based on the deeds of man. Whereas above that, there's a world of kva. So that was the idea I wanted to share with you. Thank you for visiting me in my sukkah. Wishing you a Chag Sameach, Moadim L'Simcha.